Hello, Susan. Welcome back. It's good to be back. It's been too long. I know I keep saying I'm not gonna be gone so long next time. I'm running into things like just physical things, getting old, you know. It's really good to have you back. Missed y'all. I kind of live for this. I live for disclosure right now. I mean, and you know, I have to say, first of all, let me tell you what we're going to be talking about. Today is like a two-part show. It's going to be a great show. The first half is going to be just a look at Mount Sinai and a particular discovery that I made. It's my most recent discovery, and I'm pretty excited about it. It's a bit of speculation, but then again, just about everything I do is speculation. But we're looking for that ring of truth, and we all know how to do that. And for me, it rings quite heavily, quite clearly that it's the truth. And it's a truth that only 21st century eyes could discover. And I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is yet. But before and then in the second half of the show, I think the first half might take a half hour at the most. The second half is going to be a real treat for me, and hopefully for you too. Do you like listening to air traffic control when they're having a discussion, a conversation about UFOs? From the pilot to the air traffic control center and back and forth. We've heard a few of those on TV. I've always found them just, I just eat them up. I mean, it's like candy for me. I just love it. And there's not enough. But this one is, there's a guy named Dave Beaty who's very well known in these circles. He's got a website called the Nimitz Encounters. And he gave me permission kindly to play this transcript that he made. He actually FOIA'd the government to get a copy of the air traffic control conversation, the tape. And then, on top of that, he added captions and also removed all the dead space between conversations. There were quite a few segments of their conversation that was separated by some space, and there you'll get to hear some what the dispatch operator, not dispatch, but the air traffic controller, female, makes a call to her supervisor and all that stuff. But the most fantastic, part of this story is, and you may have seen it on the news recently. This was a guy that was, he was flying a cargo jet, and I think he was alone. And he saw above him about 3 lights that were like at least 10 or 20,000 feet above him. And he said nothing flies that high, and these things were going around in a circle. You've heard that, if you're really up on this, you may have heard the term racetrack UFOs, and that's what these were, because they looked like they were going around a racetrack. He called it orbiting, and before the event was over, there were 7 of them. And on top of that, there was a meteor shower going on at the same time. And while he was observing these things, he saw a shooting star, and he just thought to himself, oh, that's nice. I'm watching these things, and there's also a shooting star. But a shooting star, then that shooting star then slowed down. It came down from the heavens and slowed down till it got close to the orbiting circle, the racetrack, and joined the racetrack and started going around in circles. So, I mean, you got to know that they're doing this on purpose. They know when you're watching. This is something I've learned from 30 years of being in this field. They know when you're watching, and they do things on purpose to get your attention and to make it no doubt that that these are not humans doing this. And gosh, don't you feel weird that we're not even having a discussion about who these aliens are, except in our circles? But the public wants to know. Well, see, the reason it's moving so slowly is because the government isn't even admitting that in fact, they're taking great pains to assure the public that there's no evidence that these are extraterrestrials. But as so many sharp reporters have countered on TV, said, but there's no evidence that they're not. So it's a silly statement from the DOD, right? It really is. You can't just say there's no evidence when you have objects defying physics. And, people who are just in the Pentagon, maybe who are just coming to this now, maybe they think that, I don't know what they think, but it's disgusting. It really is disgusting. They are eroding what little shred of trust that we still have for them. I mean, the general public. I don't have any trust in them at all. I know they've been lying to us about everything important. JFK assassination, they still won't release the files. And JFK was very much, involved in the UFO subject. And he very much hated the secrecy, associated with it. And I believe personally that he was killed because he was assassinated because he wanted to release the information and share it with Russia. One of the reasons he wanted to do that was because he was very afraid that if a UFO was misinterpreted as one of our weapons, that Russia might, send up one of their weapons. And he felt that was a really important thing to understand, that there should be a hotline between the two, and we should be able to call them and say, we did not launch anything. So if you're seeing something, it's not us. And they would believe us because these things do, make their own, they have their own signature. And so the Russians would know. But boy, the CIA wasn't having that. Wasn't having that at all. And you can see that that's still their attitude today. I mean, the Air Force is completely AWOL. They recently, someone FOIA'd the Air Force to get something on UFOs. And what they received back, it was Linda Thompson, that's right. And what she received back was a very old boilerplate, one page, had a lot of words on it, but they all said no, nothing. Started out by saying the Air Force is not responsible for tracking UFOs or tracking this. So if they're not, who is? The Navy? Why the Navy? Well, the Navy because the Navy is getting buzzed by the ETs. And so it's easier to buzz them than to, and besides, maybe they think the Air Force, they don't need the Air Force. They can do it with the Navy. But it really pisses me off that the Air Force is adamantly staying out of this, whereas they probably have most of the really good data. So the report still isn't out. I'm not even sure if a unclassified, if the classified version has been given to Congress yet. I don't hear anything about that. I may be wrong. Maybe they have it, but I wanted to ask you too a question. What do you think? Leave a comment if you would. Do you think, what was the question now? Oh, I forgot the question. Okay, sorry. You know what I need? I need to get high as fuck. Oh, shit, I said. Oh, but I need to get a swearing jar out here and put a quarter in every time. My wife told me, just don't use the word fuck. So, too late for that. I hope you like me better when I'm stoned. I hope I like me better when I'm stoned. I'm not going to ask you how you're doing. I'm going to trust that you're doing well as could be expected in this shitstorm that we're in. I'd like to reiterate that I do see this as the darkness before the dawn. I also see it as birthing pains. We're heading towards something that is unbelievably great. It's going to transform our society. And it's going to, the free energy aspect is going to transform it. And then telepathy as well will be introduced. And we are telepathic, but it is being suppressed right now in most people. I believe the ETs, from my research, they do know how to turn it on. I'm not sure if it's technology assisted. It could be a field that makes it possible for us to be read and spoken to, or it just might be their ability. But if we can hear them and we can speak to them without using our mouth and ears, then we are capable of telepathy. And so, it's not going to make us a hive mind. It's just going to be a much more efficient way of communicating. And I honestly think that, there's going to be a lot of people worried about how telepathy works. And because they're going to be afraid of their innermost secret thoughts being exposed to other people, and they don't want that. And the thing is, if my experience has anything to say about it, if it's going to be the same for other people, and I hope it is. My experience was that yes, I was very scared when I first thought that Jesus was actually in my mind and could see everything that was in there. It scared me. But I got over it. And I found that it didn't seem like he and his colleagues, he never told me whether he was Jesus or not, but whoever he was, it sure felt like Jesus. So I just assumed it was. And I've never experienced any kind of telepathy before that. And the telepathy that I was experiencing was rather sketchy. It was really hard to hear. But what I would do is I would hear something come in, and it was hard to make out. And I would think about what did I just hear? And then suddenly, usually it would crystallize, and I would realize, oh, that's what they said. And then I would go, oh my God, that was a beautiful thought. And then I realized it wasn't my thought, it was theirs. So that kind of thing, I could be crazy. But, this doesn't happen anymore. But for about 2 years, it did happen, for 20 years ago. And there's reasons why, but I don't want to go into it right now. It would just complicate the story. But that was my, that's when I really started getting into all this, and, deciding that I should write up a website. I was a developer, knew how to make websites. So in my spare time, I did put up emergingtruths.com, and you can go there and see all of my primary work. It's all there. We'll be referencing some of it tonight. Anyway, back to you guys. Thanks for coming. I really appreciate you being here. And if you like the broadcast, do me a favor and just really abuse that like button. Smash it and kill it. That's what they used to say. I always thought that was funny. This one guy said, I want you to abuse it. I want you to take out some whips and just abuse it. And he was a good guy, too. He was not a weirdo. Told stories. Anyway, do click it right now, okay? If you like it. And what that'll do is it'll tell YouTube that people like this, and then they will sort of put this video in front of more people. That's how the algorithm works. Also, if you leave a comment, that helps too, because it shows them that it shows YouTube that people are interested in what you had to say and interested enough to make a comment. And that gets me back to MC, which gave me such a great compliment today, and really gave me the wind in my sails. I know I'm being repetitive, but this happens with a few of you. So anyway, before I make this recording too long, let's get into it. And by the way, before I start, I just wanted to reassure you that I'm planning to do some more deep dives, like 2 hours long on a subject. Now, this Mount Sinai incident, or the everything that happened at Mount Sinai, is worthy of a deep dive, and I did do one quite a few months ago. I was looking like a wild man too. It was just after I retired and moved here to the house. My hair was all out of control, and I'm surprised I let that video out. But only 50 people viewed it, so I thought that this would be a good one to repeat and just do the whole thing again. Maybe do it a little better. Certainly I look better, so it'll be more well received. The audio is better now. Everything is better. The only thing I didn't come through with for you today was I can't give you a glimpse of my studio yet because I don't have a second camera hooked up, but I do want to do that for you tomorrow. It reminds me of church. God, remember when you were dragged to church, and for the first 15 minutes or so, they used to just go through all these boring announcements, like the Women's Sewing Circle will be meeting on, what was it, Tuesday? Tuesday at 6:30. Yes, Tuesday at 6:30. Don't forget that, and all these announcements. That's what I feel like I'm doing. I hope I'm not boring you. Okay, so let me give you a taste of kind of an overview of what I'm going to cover here. It's very specific, and I got pretty excited when I discovered this. It has to do with, believe it or not, time shifting in the interaction of the people and Yahweh in his ship. So for those who are not aware or haven't read this story yet, I can give you a short summary. So, everyone knows about how the Israelites got freed from Egypt. And and one of the surprising things that God, the Lord, I should say, not God, Yahweh was not God. That is one of my things that I'm going to be drilling home every chance I get. But anyway, so I'll have to call him the Lord. And the Bible does that too. In King James, it's all capitals, Lord. And it really refers to the highest ranking Elohim who was in charge. He was our God, not the creator God, even though he pretended to be. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So Yahweh, what he did was he chose Abraham, and he waited until Abraham had a number of children, and pretty soon there was after a number of years, there was lots of people in that family. It was the Israelites. It was the beginning of the Israelites. And in order to things were tough to get food and stuff in that time, and they were kind of starving. And so the Lord brought them to Egypt and got them into Egypt. And the whole story of how he did that with Joseph is very interesting, but I won't go into that now. But they spent a long number of years in Egypt. I mean, 100 or two, I can't remember how many. But they did make friends with their neighbors, to the point where this detail, the Lord asked them to, just before they exit on the great Exodus, to borrow jewels of silver and gold. Each person should ask an Egyptian neighbor if they could borrow a piece of gold or silver. And that's where the gold came from for the golden calf that they built, and then eventually the Ark of the Covenant, which needed so much gold. So anyway, he gets them out of Egypt, and the story of that is just fantastic. And there's a lot of high technology going on there, and I have covered it in a previous video. I'll probably cover it again. I intend to do all my older videos over again. It doesn't hurt to repeat, right? But so once he gets them out of Egypt and they start their trek through the wilderness, which it says that they were in the wilderness on this trek for 40 years. And no one can really understand why that took so long. I don't think I have an answer for you either, but it might be related to the topic we're going to be talking about tonight. We'll see. So now, about 3 months into their journey, the Lord decides that he wants them to come to Mount Sinai. And he's going to make a demonstration for them. And he's going to let them see him. And moreover, he's going to speak to Moses from the thick cloud that he's going to be arriving in. That's where I'm assuming a mothership, a really, really, think of Close Encounters, when that mothership finally, that's what that I think that's about the size of what his ship may have been. And he said, we'll get into the text here in a sec. In fact, why don't I just read that for you now? Let's see here. All right. Okay, let's start here, right here. Can you see where I'm clicking? It's supposed to put a little circle up. Yeah. Okay. And the green is God, and the blue is the narrator, and the white is the people. So here's the Lord. Lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord, and the Lord said unto Moses, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow. Let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people. Oh, this is important now. He's talking about building some sort of a fence around the lower part of the mountain. And he wants everyone to stay outside of that fence. Do not cross the fence, because he says, and this is one of our first clues here, and thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever toucheth the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not an hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man. Now this is so obvious here. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. And then when the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount. So I think it's pretty clear. What he's saying is until that horn is sounded, anyone who crosses that fence is going into a danger zone. And I think of radiation. It could be something else. But whatever it is, it's something that can spread from one person to another, or from an animal to a person. And he didn't want that. Maybe it would corrupt the genes, maybe it would give you disease, whatever. And he didn't want any of them to be hurt. Well, why would they be hurt by God coming down? If the standard version of God is, he would never hurt anything. And this is not my own observation. This was Eric von Daniken's very first clue. And it is fairly early in the Bible, so I can understand that. And he thought to himself, why is he telling them to put a fence around the mount? And he had the same questions I did. And it's very clear now that there was a technological reason for this. And I should mention, I don't want to make this too long, but when the ship came down and sort of landed on the top of Mount Sinai, and I don't know whether it ever made contact, but while it was coming down, all this turmoil was created. The ground was quaking, and fire came down from his ship, from the cloud, into the volcano. I call it the volcano, Mount Sinai. And then, fire also came out of Mount Sinai or at least smoke and stuff. So it looks to me like what Yahweh was doing was mining. He was mining for some kind of something that they needed, and I think it had to do with the white powder of gold. And I've told you this before. I don't want to go into it too far right now because it's just a side point. But this fence around the mountain. So while the ship was landing, it was doing this mining operation. It was probably using a beam of some sort, and if you got too close to it, it would hurt you. So that's the reason that the defense was there. Now, why do I assume all this? Is a lot of speculation, right? Because, but why do I assume that that it was a ship? Well, I don't know if that was the question I was going to ask. Well, never mind. Not important. So, and then after it lands, apparently it's done. He's done with his mining operation, and they're allowed to cross over. And he calls Moses actually, and calls him out by name. I think I'll read that. So again, he's saying that either he or they will be required to kill anyone who crosses that fence. So that's a sign right there that it is dangerous in a technological way. It shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up to the mount. Yeah, and the fact that this is one of two places in the Bible where the other place was the Passover event, where he killed not just the firstborn humans of Egyptians, but also the firstborn of animals. And, you know, that's very sketchy, because that sounds again like technology. And I don't know what kind of technology can read the genome and find out that, oh, this is a firstborn. But it had that ability. And that's another story. I covered that in the Passover event. But okay, so we've got him landing on Mount Sinai, and the all clear is given, so the danger is gone. Now, what happens next is pretty fascinating, and then we're getting close to our topic here now. I'm kind of excited to tell you about this. And I hope you agree with me that I think I'm onto something here. And that's what makes it fun, right? How in the world could a person get new information from an old Bible? Well, with 21st century eyes. And that's what's so exciting. I never saw this coming, right? I didn't expect the Bible to just come alive, you know, with futuristic high technology, very clearly and obviously technology. So, you know, whoever's up there, they knew that at some point we would get hip to what this was all about. And that's why I feel like we're getting very close to the apocalypse, meaning the great revealing, and the truth. And the truth will set us free. So back to these antics here at Mount Sinai. The next thing that happens is, oh, by the way, I got to mention in here that Moses said to the people, "Be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives," meaning don't make love to them for these 3 days. Instead, you're just supposed to be sanctifying yourself and washing your clothes and everything. Now, why is that important? Two possible reasons. I think the most likely one is that the Elohim didn't like the way humans smelled. Honestly. The reason I say that is I just saw Daniken, Eric von Daniken, the other night. Probably, it's a repeat, but he actually quoted, and I have not looked this up yet. I haven't been able to find it. I tried. And Daniken does that sometimes. He'll say stuff that I just can't find anywhere. But what he said was that, let's see, what are we talking about again? Oh yeah, he said that when Enoch, I think it was, had a meeting with the Lord, or an angel, the Lord said to him, Enoch, you stink. Please take this cream and rub it all over your body. And so he did, and he liked the smell of it. And so it's very interesting that it would seem to be related to come not at your wives. The other possibility is that the Lord just didn't want to catch anything from us, like diseases, or that's possible. But I don't think that he was worried about that. I think it was more just they don't like. He doesn't like the way we smell, which is maybe they didn't smell good back in those days, but I think they probably smelled earthy. They ate organic food all the time. And anyway, so I've got to skip over some of this now. Like I said, I'm going to do a deep dive on all of the amazing details of this story for somewhat at another time. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the mount, up to the top of the mount, and Moses went up. Then went up Moses, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and the 70 of the elders of Israel. Nope, did we get too far here? And they saw the God of Israel. Yeah, that's too far. I guess 24. Okay, no, I'm not. It's good. And they saw the God of Israel. Of course, God said that no man can see me and live. And so they were confused because, and it says here, and there was under his feet, as it were, a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. And in his clearness, I just don't understand exactly what that means, but and upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand. Also they saw God and did eat and drink. And so what this sentence here is saying, my subscribers already know. He laid not his hand. What the narrator is trying to say there is that he didn't kill them for seeing him. So that was nice of him. And they did eat and drink. Now, then the next thing that happens is the Lord invites Moses up alone. So this event took place lower, within the lower parts of the mountain, this display and the showing of himself or something on a beautiful paved, clear sapphire stone, just beautiful, Doesn't say anything about, by the way, talking with him or what he looked like. It doesn't describe him. I'm sure Moses was forbidden to describe his face, and I don't even know if I wish we knew more about that. The Bible just does not say it. But what happens next is that, and this is where we're getting right into it here. And the Lord said unto Moses, "Come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone and a law and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them." And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua, and Moses went up into the mount of God. And he said unto the elders, "Tarry ye here for us until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them." And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount, and the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai. And this is the Bible's way of saying the same thing twice. It does that for emphasis. So what it's saying is that the cloud covered the mount. Well, that cloud is the glory of the Lord. That's what they called the glory of the Lord. It's a fog, I told you before, which seems to glow. So very beautiful. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And this is where we have arrived. The cloud covered it 6 days, and on the 7th day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moses went into the midst of the cloud and gat him up into the mount. And Moses was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, the thing that I don't want you to miss here, because it's the key, is that Moses was required to wait 6 days before he could visit with the Lord. Well, then why did the Lord not call him up until 6 days after? It's assuming the Lord had to take care of some stuff right before he could have his guest. So why didn't he just not call him up until he was ready for him? Well, there's a reason for that. And the reason is that those 6 days that he was up there in the mount, he was in a acclimation period. Okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, there's a story that I read by Alec Newell, true story, contactee, Australian. And he was abducted by a race called, I forgot what they were called now, but when they abducted him, they took his car. I mean, he was in his car, and the whole thing lifted up, and he ended up, I'm not sure if he was in his car or not, but he ended up in this white space that he couldn't see anything. And for 24 hours, he just had to sit there. And he couldn't see anything other than white. But towards the end of that 24 hours, things started to appear. And he looked in the distance, and he could see these beings for the first time. And he started walking towards them, and they met. And they explained to him that he had just been shifted in frequency or something like that. We don't know exactly what it. Probably frequency is a factor. High vibration, right? They shifted him into the dimension, frequency dimension, that they were at, so that he could be with them. And then he proceeded to have a 10-day visit, and it was fascinating. But what I wanted to just take from that was that one aspect of the acclimation period. So it's a gradual process, apparently. And we see the same thing here. And it popped out at me. It's like, that's what this is. And then after I realized that, a few other things started clicking into place. Now, I don't know exactly how it works, but I believe that what was happening, we have to look at this 40 days. It says that Moses was up there with God for 40 days and 40 nights with the Lord. First of all, I don't believe that. I believe that he was observed to have been gone for 40 days by the people on the ground. But Moses had been shifted not only into a different dimension of frequency, but also a different time zone or a different rate of time. So, because all really that they had to, all it says that they did, Moses and God, I keep saying God, I'm saying it's just, burned into my memory, force of habit. But now, what am I saying? So after this 6 days acclimation, he gets to meet with God, and what do they have to discuss? Well, they have not an argument, but Yahweh was not happy with the people, and but he was. I don't know if it was the first time or the second time that Moses went up, but he went up twice. And at one point, the Lord expressed that he would really like to just do away with everyone on the ground and start fresh with Moses and sort of, build his people from the seed of Moses. So, and I don't know how serious he was about that, but Moses had to talk him out of it, and he did. And so Moses, and now I get the point I'm trying to make here is that there wasn't really that much business. So 40 days would be excessive, way excessive. And that might be convincing to you even just saying that. But I have something that's going to drive home the point, and that is that the second time that he went up, he was also gone for 40 days and 40 nights. Now, that makes no sense at all, because the second time he went up, it was just to replace the stone tablets. There was nothing else, no other business that they had to discuss. So 40 days? No. So what makes sense is that because of this acclimation period, we're clued to the fact that there is something interdimensional going on here, and also something with time. So for Moses, it may have been 1 or 2 days, or maybe a week at the most. Enjoy the swimming pool, check out the bridge. But the second time, another 40 days, like show up at the top of the mount, ring the doorbell and say, "Hey, it's me again. Hey, I really appreciate that visit, blah, 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 40 days," or well, it wasn't 40. But, I'm going to need a replacement for the stone tablets because I broke them. And And so he was up there for another 40 days. That makes no sense at all. All of their business should have been discussed by that time. So there would be no reason for them to spend another 40 days there. So this makes it very clear to me, and this is my conclusion on this, that the time was moving more slowly after the acclimation period with Yahweh. I don't know why that would be, but it was the case. And this then explains why the people on the ground became impatient. Moses never expected to be up there for 40 days. None of them on the ground expected Moses to be gone for 40 days. And that was such a long time that they very reasonably concluded that we don't know what happened to Moses. He's gone. And so, so they felt like not only Moses abandoned them, this Moses who they referred to him as this man who brought us out of Egypt, along with his God, which is supposedly our God now. And they were very thrilled about being, brought across the Dead Sea to escape. And that was a very exciting thing for them. But now, they're at this mountain, and they see that Moses is getting treated well, and he's being, and some of the elders were treated well. But as far as it felt to them like after 40 days, not only has Moses abandoned us, but God, the Lord, the one that he's up there visiting, they apparently have abandoned us. And that's why they felt that they needed to make new gods, because that's what they were used to. In Egypt, or at least they were used to seeing that the Egyptians would make golden gods, golden calves and things like that. And they said, let us make gods, melt all the gold that we borrowed from our neighbors, and make gods that shall go before us, as a protection. And it's interesting because when they talked about the Ark of the Covenant later, the Ark of the Covenant was said to go before them in their journey. And it would wipe out, it would send out beams, like laser beams that would kill scorpions and stuff, and maybe enemies, and also just make a path for them to go. So that was pretty amazing. Now let's see, where am I? Gotta light this cigarette, right? Oh, he's still smoking. Yes, Mom, I am. But I'm hanging in there. So, yeah, I think we've covered, I think I've made my case now, because I'm saying that 40 days is really excessive. But, if it was just one time, I would not have as strong of a case, because, because someone could say, well, you don't know what exactly was going on up there. Maybe God wanted Moses to have a good time for a while, check out all those things I was telling you about. But no, it happened twice. And the second time, it was just to get a replacement, nothing else. So there's no way that could have taken 40 days. And so I think what we have, folks, is another discovery And it's really based on this part right here. Let's see. No, not that part. This part where it says, and Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. See, now that cloud was what effected the shift into Yahweh's frequency domain. And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount, and the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And the seventh day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. So you see how they conflate, the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mount. Okay. But sometimes the Bible conflates sometimes it doesn't make sense. I'll tell you one more thing before I get off this. Just before Yahweh was finished at Mount Sinai and was going to leave, Moses had a request. He asked him to shew me your glory. What did he mean by that? Most people assume that he just meant, show me you. I want to see you. But that's not what he meant, because what the Lord said was, it would not be safe for you. So I'm going to put you in a cleft of rock, and you'll get to see my hind part as I pass by. But it's not safe for you to see the front of me. This sort of harkens back to no man shall see God, but they've already seen him. A lot of ambiguity here, right? But, oh God, let's see, where was I? Must be getting tired. Good, because that air traffic control transcript is coming. You're going to love it. Okay. When I lose my place, I start going, Well, I think I've made my case. What do you think? And this is, what makes this exciting to me is that if we're right, and I think we are, that this is very high tech, and this fits right in with what we're starting to learn now. I made the connection to that book that I read, and there was an acclimation period there too. And you know what? Those people that were in that frequency zone that he met in this book that I read, they said that the dimension that they were in was a mistake. That they had tried to make the sun do what it does, like a micro nova flash. If you don't, micro supernova, or it's like a micronova. What happens is that every once in a while, like millions of years, but a sun will emit this sort of it's like just shedding its skin. It's like a pulse of plasma and energy. Now you might think that would be destructive if once it reaches the Earth, but there is a belief, and if you follow David Wilcock at all, I know the guy, has a lot of, he talks forever, right? But he did a lot of study on this, and Corey Good backs him up on it, that there is something called a solar flash that is going to cause us to shift into a higher dimension. And so that's how the real God works. Look, apparently using the available the sun, right, to really just raise the vibration of everything on Earth, not just humans, animals, plants. Everything is going to be in this higher dimension. What that may be like, I don't know, but from all accounts, it's a much lighter state of being, and everything is like immediate. Like you don't have to travel anywhere to speak to someone. You just think of them, and that's like typing in a URL in the web browser. When you think of them, that's their address, and you make a connection through the organic internet. I love that term. It's so provocative, isn't it? The organic internet. I'm telling you, we have a bright future, and we do have beings who care for us. And I do think that we've had an abusive past. I do think we were created as a worker race, and I think that we were loved by maybe Enki. I'm going back to Sumerian literature now. Enki and Enlil. One of them liked us. One of them wanted us destroyed because they didn't want to leave behind a mess on the planet that they had created. But Enlil was the genetic engineer, and I think he loved us somehow, and so we were preserved. And the story goes on with Noah and all. There's just all kinds of fascinating stuff to get to, which I've already covered in previous videos. But like I said, I'm going to be doing all of them again because they're just worth repeating. And I'm not really up to doing too much more research. I'm going to kind of ride out on what I've done and cover the UAP stuff. Speaking of which, here we go. I'm going to shift gears now and play you that air traffic control transcript here. Let's see here. Share. Many thanks to Dave Beaty, who took the effort to actually request this in a FOIA, and he got it. I'm going to skip over the first part just in the interest of time, and so we'll start right here. Oh, I'm clicking on the wrong spot. Are you going to play?
Good evening, Todd 670,
Yeah. LA 670, LA Center, Roger. Advising you to establish 2-way HF communications. Number 2 Gulf Hotel, contact SoCal approach 124.9er.
24.9, Gulf Hotel. Flight level 340 and passing 6,200 now, 3811 heavy.
Roger.
Twilight 670, establish 2-way station.
Twilight 670, Roger. Expect a frequency change near Dinty.
Roger. Center, Twilight 670.
Go ahead.
We've got a few aircraft who are north here. Maybe going around circles. Much higher altitude than us. Any idea what's there?
No, I do not.
Yeah, I love that. She
Okay,
keeps...
strange. Probably 41.
Delta 41, standby. And Twilight 670, say the last part again?
Yeah, that looks to be, much higher than we are, and they're going around in circles, so maybe 3 aircraft or some aircraft or something.
Yeah, Roger. Yeah, I don't know. You're not entering any military airspace or anything, I'm not sure.
Roger that.
Delta 41, go.
I just have.
Delta 41, yeah, we're just wondering if we needed a frequency change.
I just have to say, I don't know why, but I'm so attracted to that woman on the radio. Just the way she knows what she's doing, and she has the appropriate, like, God, I don't know what no, I'm not seeing anything. And yeah, it's just delicious.
I was just waiting for you to level at level 340. Are you level now?
Delta 41, we are just leveling now at 340.
Delta 41, Roger. Radar service terminated. Change to inert frequency.
Los Angeles Center Operations, Robbie.
Hello, it's Sarah.
Hey.
So I have this Twilight 670 that's like 25 west of LA at 47,000 feet. And he said that there are 3 aircraft high above him orbiting. And I don't know.
Well, that's kind of weird.
I need to do something else. Hey, Dave. Damn it.
Air France is on my frequency. What do you guys use? 1905 or 2650?
Yes, 1905.
Okay, thanks, Jimmy.
Should I ask him anything else? Like, he said they were aircraft. I don't have any hot airspace.
Yeah, I don't know.
I told him I didn't know he wasn't in any military airspace, and he said, yeah, they're just kind of going around in circles.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. Okay.
He's at 47,000 feet, and he said they're pretty far above him. So
Yeah, I wonder if it's just like, I don't know.
The first thing I thought was a satellite or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking, like SpaceX stuff.
But
All
I
right.
thought maybe I would just report it to you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Yep.
That's it.
Twilight 670, go.
You don't see any aircraft off our right-hand side that are 3 aircraft going in circles?
No, there's nothing out there by you. I don't even see any primary targets. And you said that they're above you?
Yeah, they're definitely above us. They're just going around in circles.
Twilight 670, Roger. I'm sorry. I wish I did know what it was.
Los Angeles Center Operations, Robbie.
Hey, it's me again. That Twilight's still asking me about if I see anything. I didn't know what to tell him, but I thought I would tell you again. He's probably 75 miles past where he was. He said, are you sure you don't see anything off to our right above us? There's nothing there.
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, so she very smartly decided to call him again because he had already traveled 75 miles since his previous report to her, and he called in again and said they're still with him. So now she knows that they're like tracking him, and that's got her a little concerned. So she calls him again. Come on.
Well, you can, but you don't have anything. You know what I mean?
I told him I was sorry. I wish I knew. But
Yeah.
I just thought
I don't have anything else for you either.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Well, bye.
Yeah.
Kind of an uncomfortable laugh.
Go ahead.
Colors like 7 of them.
670, Roger. I did report it. Do you have an estimate on the altitude?
You know, they've got to be, from the angle I'm at, they've got to be at least 5 or 10,000 feet above us. They have to be. Join them from even bigger than that.
Twilight 670, Roger. And are they just white lights?
They just keep going in circles. I was an F-18 pilot in the Marine Corps. I'm telling you, I've done many intercepts. I've never seen anything like this.
Twilight 670, Roger. Yeah, I was talking to the operational manager, and the only thing we could think of is satellites, but that I'm sure those don't.
My thought was it's a good thing he wasn't a retired F-18 fighter pilot, because now he's got creds, right? Otherwise, up until this point, she's not sure who she's dealing with. I mean, he sounds rational, but she's not going to engage too much because it just doesn't make sense to her, and she doesn't see anything. But now he tells her that he's an F-18, retired F-18 fighter pilot, and he's done hundreds of intercepts, and he's never seen anything like this. And now she's definitely intrigued.
Going to be spinning around.
Absolutely, they're not satellites. They're in a big wormhole, just keep going around each other, and then two more came in, and then one came down from the Thompson. They just keep circling.
670.
Yeah, so he kind of glossed over that because he didn't want to, he didn't want to lose her confidence in him. But the truth was that he saw a shooting star, as I said earlier, and apparently more than one of them. And they came down from above and joined this circular movement. So he's really freaking out now. What the hell's going on?
Roger, yeah. Like I said, I did report it. I wish I could offer you the answer now, but unfortunately can't. And radar service is terminated, and frequency change is approved now.
Roger, minus over 2,000.
Affirmative, thanks.
All right, Sam, have a great night. Take care.
Thanks, you as well. Korean Air 9210, LA Center, common maintain, flight level 360.
Los Angeles and Operation Copy.
It's Sarah. The plot thickens.
Uh-oh.
So he said that now there was like 7, and they're still circling. He said that there was about 5, and then 2 more came in, and 1 came from above them.
Yep.
And I asked him if he had an altitude estimate, and he said at least 5,000 to 10,000 feet above. And he's at 47.
He's at 47.
And then he told me that he was an F-18 pilot in the Marine Corps.
See?
And he's never seen anything like this.
Huh.
He said he's been on hundreds of intercepts. And I was like, I told him that I had talked to the operational manager, and we thought maybe they were satellites, but obviously they weren't. And he's like, no, they're aircraft.
Okay. I mean, I'll call the den and see if they want me to do anything. But
yeah, because that's like, let me measure it real quick, because he's probably 200 miles, I would guess.
Yeah.
From where
But the fact that he's still seeing them, you know what I mean? That's like
250 miles from where he first saw him. And
yeah.
like, it's such a weird thing.
She believes him.
Right. Yeah. I'll call the den.
Okay.
If they,
all right.
they want to do anything
yeah,
for it.
Thanks.
All right. Yeah.
LA, United 2650, request Dinty.
United 2650, clear direct Dinty, and I have a question when you're ready.
Oh, I am ready, United 2650.
Okay, so an aircraft ahead of you at 47,000 feet was reporting aircraft above them circling. They're about 75 miles ahead of you now. I'm not showing anything. I was just wondering if you see anything up there. They reported it would probably have to be above 50,000 feet.
Looking out, I only see stars, but at that distance, it would be hard to see anything.
Yeah, he had reported them from about 15 miles west of LA all the way to his current position is about 20 miles past NT.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye out and we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm 2670. We're still monitoring you. Below the other aircraft vehicle. You can look at the bottom corner of the Big Dipper where they're circling.
Twilight 670, Roger. United 2650, did you copy that?
United 2650 about the traffic and looking for it, but nothing else.
Roger, thanks.
Yeah, like 2670. I'm going to stay on with you. If they do report shooting, you let me know so you know I'm not crazy.
Twilight 670, yes, of course. United
He even
2650.
he even feels like the need to. He knows he's not crazy, but he even feels the need to say that, even though he's an F-18 retired fighter pilot. That's how much the government has done, the Pentagon, the CIA, to stigmatize this. And even though we're in the process of trying to destigmatize it with legislation, it still has a certain stigma. Although I'm very happy to see that in this interaction, there was trust established. She believes him. She wonders what's going on. And the other people they believe it too, because, I mean, because he is who he is.
Ever end up seeing anything?
United 2650, go ahead.
I just wondered if you ever ended up seeing anything.
Yeah, it's a negative.
Too bad.
United 2650, roger. Radar service terminated. Change to inert frequency.
United 2650, copy. Radar service terminated. Switch to frequency.
Twilight 670, and I said negative.
All right, I got it on radio. Good.
Roger, thanks.
Over the last several months, there's something unexplainable appearing in the night, from the skies over Missouri to above the Pacific Ocean.
It's not a satellite and it's not a meteor.
All baffling pilots mid-flight.
I don't know what the common
This is the
denominator
guy.
is, but it's always at the bottom of the Big Dipper.
Mark Holsey is a former F-18 fighter pilot. This August, he was piloting a private jet off the coast of Los Angeles when he says he saw as many as 7 mysterious objects appearing to fly thousands of feet above him. This is audio from that night alerting air traffic control.
Are they going around in circles? So maybe 3 aircraft.
Roger, yeah, I don't know. You're not entering any military airspace or anything. I'm not sure.
The clip obtained by Ben Hansen, a researcher who has spoken to dozens of pilots of commercial flights that have recently had similar encounters.
So it seems like it might be getting more frequent?
It's either getting more frequent or it's getting noticed more.
Okay, there it is.
But while
It's
no one
getting more
seems to know
frequent.
what they're seeing, Holsey is sure these fast orbiting objects aren't satellites or any known military aircraft.
There's nothing that flies that high. So the odds of it being a military...
That struck me right there. There's nothing that flies that high. He was at 47,000, and he said they had to be about 20,000 higher than him, at least. And he said nothing flies that high, so that's very interesting, too.
aircraft doing high G loads like that, it's impossible. It's completely impossible.
Does this phenomenon seem to be under intelligent control?
It's impossible. It's completely impossible.
Does this phenomenon seem to be under intelligent control?
That's the only thing it could be. I mean, it's either artificial or biological.
It all comes on the heels of a congressional hearing earlier this year where intelligence officials testified for the first time ever that there were about 400 new sightings of unidentifiable objects, adding UAP reports are frequent and continuing.
Any idea what they are?
No, I do not.
I love that line.
Okay, strange.
And this latest wave of sightings from pilots could be just the beginning.
I bet my life on it. There are many more pilots and a lot more videos that are going to come out. I know this is going to happen. I know it is.
Gotti, you mentioned that there's a government report that is expected to come out. What do you think will be in that?
Yeah, that Pentagon report is expected to be given to Congress by the end of the month. It could either provide an explanation for the increasing number of sightings that we're seeing, or it could reveal some more information about new encounters. The question really is how much of it is going to be declassified. Meanwhile, Mark says he was told his report is going to be included in that review for Congress, and based on other pilots he's been talking to, he is convinced dozens of commercial pilots are going to be coming forward describing the same kind of lights flying in that racetrack-like pattern in the direction of the Big Dipper. The craziest part of his story, he says, is he saw a shooting star during all of this that was coming in that direction too. And he's like, oh my gosh, there's a shooting star happening as well. And then that shooting star joined in the pattern that those other lights were flying, something he's never seen before.
Whoa.
Dozens of pilots can't be making this up.
I know. All right,
Yeah,
Gotti,
let's hear
thank
that
you.
one more time.
something he's never seen before.
Whoa!
Oh my gosh, there's a shooting star happening as well. And then that shooting star joined in the pattern that those other lights were flying, something he's never seen before.
Whoa! Dozens of pilots can't be making this up.
I know. All right, Gotti, thank you.
All right.
Hey, thanks for watching.
You betcha. Thank you today. That was a wonderful report. And you gotta love the reaction of the, because I think like a few years ago the reaction would have been, that's weird, and they don't really believe it, But now we're seeing a shift, and what I'm seeing is that the local TV channels, they are digging this story, all of them. They're loving it. And they love to cover it. And Tucker Carlson is covering it too. And he's to his credit because, MSNBC never covers it. They don't believe in it. But NBC News did come out with something in support of all of this. So I guess it's a mixed bag with NBC. Maybe they just see a topic that would be good for them because they're flailing right now. But all right, so that's the show for today, and I enjoyed that. I hope you did too. Thank you so much, Dave Beaty, for the permission to play that excellent video that you created and FOIA'd to get the whole thing. I mean, that was what I wanted to hear. I mean, we've all, if you've been following this, there have been clips of this, but some of the air traffic control conversation, but not the whole thing. And I just loved hearing that whole thing. It just it gives me hope that, this guy said that he guarantees it. First of all, his story is going into the, it's being reported to the government. So that's a good thing. And then he believes that there's like 20 other, at least there's going to be like probably 20 other pilots who are going to see I don't know why he feels that so sure of that, but that they're all going to come out and tell their stories. So that's wonderful because, what we're seeing so far is that we don't even have the report in our hands. Wondering what's going on with that. Are they infighting about how much to redact? And I sort of doubt that. I think they know exactly what they want to redact, and they don't want to. You've watched them. They will light their feet on fire before they will say that it could be aliens. You remember George Sukalu? He said, I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Yeah, well, I am saying it was aliens. And I think we're all starting to realize that now. So we'll see what the government does. I am definitely suffering a very sore back right now. I've got to get out. I'm sure you're feeling it too if I'm feeling it. So I will see you next time. Let me turn the music on. Yeah, so good to be back on the air again. This is music from my band, 1986. So until next time, folks, in the words of the immortal Jennifer Stone, go easy. And if you can't go easy, go as easy as you can. I love you all. And I'll see you next time.